Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sneha Nair and today we'll be starting with Semester 5 Analytical Chemistry paper number 304, Unit 4 Visible Spectroscopy. Now before getting an idea about the visible spectroscopy, we must get a very important information regarding the electromagnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic spectrum, as we all know, is nothing but the range of wavelengths of frequency over which the entire electromagnetic radiation will extend. So electromagnetic radiation will be then used as a source of radiation in the spectroscopic techniques. Now we already know that the electromagnetic spectrum is generally bifurcated into 7 different categories. However, I have only shown 6 categories over here, wherein the UV visible are taken separately or considered separately when into consideration. So now if I talk about it, the electromagnetic spectrum can be arranged in any order, but for the simplicity purpose, we have taken in the form of decreasing order of their energy. So gamma rays, we already know, is generally used for the radioactive devices or the radioactive element study. X-rays are generally used for the penetration purpose, we know in the X-ray machines. UV visible, UV rays are also, they are the cause of main cancer and different sunburns because of the UV radiations. Visible region will consist of lot of the radiations. Now visible regions are generally bifurcated into 7 different colors which we are able to consider, which is called as the VIBGYOR. We already know that we are able to visualize the color because of the presence of the visible region, which is of 400 to 800 nanometer. Then comes the IR radiation. IR radiation also has 3 different sets of bifurcation. However, for the IR spectroscopic techniques, we generally take into consideration the 2.5 to 15 micron, which is the mid IR region. Then comes obviously the microwaves and the radio waves. So in this entire unit today, we'll be studying only about the visible radiation source, which is the 400 to 800 nanometer region. Now, considering the visible radiation source, we also need to understand what are the absorption laws. Now, why absorption is necessary? Because if, for example, I'm taking a sample solution and then I'm incidenting a radiation over it. Now, for example, what I say that I have incidented 100% radiation. Now, this 100% radiation was wherein certain amount of radiation was already absorbed by the sample solution. Let's say, for example, 5% is absorbed by the solution. Now, what will happen is if 5% is absorbed by the solution, then there will be only 95% will be transmitted. So, what we can say is that we have taken 100% radiation, and this 100% radiation, out of the 100% radiation, only 5% got absorbed by the solution. Rest everything got transferred, and so we are left with the 95% radiation that will be coming out of the as a transmitted radiation. So in that particular case, 2 type of cases generate. The first one is the sample solution is transparent in nature. Now, if the sample solution is transparent, means it can pass light on its own. So what will happen is the percentage absorbance will be exactly equal to 0. On the contrary, the percentage transmittance will be exactly equal to 100%. So jitna, the more we have incident the radiation, the more it will get transmitted. So in that case, the incident radiation will be exactly equal to the transmitted radiation. If I talk about the case number 2, wherein the sample solution is not transparent at all, so the percentage absorbance will be greater than 0 and the percentage transmittance will be less than 100. So in that cases, the I0 value, which is the incident radiation, will be obviously greater than the transmitted radiation. Now, a very important law has been established to establish a relation between the absorbance and the transmittance. Now, we already know that A is equal to log 10 to the base 1 upon T. 1 upon T is nothing. T, for example, is transmitted upon incident. So 1 upon T will be what? The reverse of it, which is the incident radiation upon the transmitted radiation. So the value comes out to be A is equal to log 10 to the base I0 by I, which is the incident radiation upon the transmitted radiation. Now, on this basis, certain laws were developed. The first one is called as the Lambert's law, wherein he said that if I pass a monochromatic radiation, mono is wherein we have already selected only one radiation or one wavelength radiation of any sort. So when we are passing a monochromatic radiation through the absorbing medium, what will happen is there will always occur a decrease in the intensity of radiation. Now this decrease, why? Because certain amount of radiation obviously will be absorbed now by the solution. So what will happen is it is resulting in the decrease in the intensity of radiation, and that decrease will be directly proportional to the thickness of the solution. Now thickness, we already know that we keep the solution in the cuvette, filled in the cuvette. So whatever diameter or whatever length of the cuvette is there, so it will depend on the thickness of that solution or the path length of that solution, how much time it required to flow from a medium to the other medium. So A will be equal to log 10 to the base I0 by I, which is directly proportional to L. And A we can mathematically also write directly proportional to L, which is A is equal to epsilon L. Now epsilon in this case is nothing but the molar extension coefficient or the molar absorptivity. And L is the path length or the thickness of the solution. So similarly, after the Lambert's law, discovery, there came the Beer's law. Now, according to the Beer's law, the process remained the same. The only difference what he observed was that the decrease in the intensity of radiation will occur when you are passing a monochromatic radiation through the absorbing medium, but that decrease will be directly proportional to the concentration instead of the path length or the thickness of solution. So here we can say that A is proportional to C, which is the concentration. So A is equal to epsilon C, and C here is the concentration of the solution. Now, the joint law was proposed, which is called as the Lambert's-Beer law or the Beer-Lambert law after many years. So it was said that, they said that, see, there is going to be a decrease in the intensity of radiation as mentioned by Lambert and so by the Beer. So what they decided on was that because the decrease in intensity of radiation is occurring, so that can be proportional directly to both the path length as well as to the concentration of solution, which generally takes into consideration as A, which is absorbance, is equal to epsilon LC. Epsilon is molar absorptivity coefficient here. L is the path length and C is the concentration of the solution. So these were the general laws that were used for the absorptions of the solution into the medium. Now, in the next lecture, we'll be studying about the instrumentation of the visible spectrophotometer. Thank you.